I'm 70. Take that off. 92.
92-year-old Mrs. Daisy Fields currently lives in Northwest D.C., but she grew up in Montgomery, Alabama, where she became friends with the iconic Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and neighbors with the legendary Rosa Parks.
She had to pass my house every day when she was going to work. And that's why she caught the bus, and that's why she got off the bus.
In the early 50s, Mrs. Fields went to Bell Street Baptist, which was only a few blocks away from the church on Dexter Avenue, where Dr. King pastored. After service, they would all meet together to plan protests.
The meeting was about a block and a half from me.
What were the meetings about?
About the struggle, the bar card and what was going on there, and how he was going to start it.
But one day, she boarded the back of a bus, and what happened next, she would remember for the rest of her life.
I was going from where I lived to the doctor. I had to go on base to the doctor. I was pregnant also at the time. And, the bus driver just asked me to get up. And this guy told me, why would you ask her to get up? And there's no one up here, in the white section. If you didn't get up, then they called the police. And there had been some arrests before Rosa Parks.
In 1955, 4 days after Rosa Parks was arrested, the bus boycotts began, and Mrs. Fields was an active participant.
Nobody rode the bus, not even that day, and just about for a whole year. Nobody rode the bus. They boycotted.
She moved to Washington, D.C. in the 60s. Although she was away from Montgomery, Alabama, she was still involved in the planning of the next big demonstration, which was the March on Washington.
So I knew what was going on, and I still was, into it.
I have a dream.
57 years ago, Mrs. Fields came here to the Lincoln Memorial to hear her good friend, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., deliver a speech of a lifetime, highlighting the need for equality and justice. And in just a few days, her granddaughter, Chandler, will come and continue the family legacy of activism at the March on Washington.
When she used to come to Grandparents' Day that they used to have in my elementary school, I remember I would share certain things with her about what we were learning, and then she would always tell me when I would go over her house how she knew these people growing up, being from Alabama and being involved in the church. And so she was like, although Alabama is big, when it comes to the Black community, everyone was very close. They looked out for one another. So these historical figures that I was learning about, she would see on the daily basis. I remember she would tell me about how she would attend churches where Martin Luther King spoke at, or where he was the pastor. But I remember when I was discussing Rosa Parks with her, and she was like, oh yeah, Rosa used to catch the bus right outside of my house. I was like, what? So she just never fails to amaze me. It was very shocking, but also very cool, because these are the figures that you learn about every single, growing up. And she always tells me stories as well about, what she experienced, but also what she's overcome. How I'll never forget, she said, when you come onto this earth, you shouldn't be still facing the same problems when you leave this earth. So I feel like, racism and along with the other issues that are happening have, been here for a really long time. My grandmother's generation, they made a huge change. I'm really looking forward to the march, and I'm looking forward to continuing my family's legacy.